everyone. So today we're going to have a look at how to form the Spanish present tense. Okay, so to begin with, in Spanish, every single verb has one of these three endings. So you've got AR, ER, or IR. So if you pick up a Spanish dictionary, open it up, you'll see that every single verb will end with one of these two letters. So either AR, ER, IR. So I'm going to show you now how to conjugate each one and what endings we need to add. So here you've got your subject pronouns. So these show which person it relates to. So each ending relates to a specific person. So if I'm talking about myself, for example, I want to use an AR verb, we add or. Okay? So that's how we do that. So for do, which is you, we'd add s. For he, she, you formal, we'd use a. For we, so nosotros, nosotras, we'd use amos. Just to make a point as well, nosotros as if you've got, basically, if it's all male or with one female, it doesn't matter. If there's a male present, you use nosotros. If it's just girls, then nosotras. Okay? Same with vosotros, vosotras, that's the you plural. So for example, if I was talking to my class, I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to lots of people. So it'd be you plural. We use ais, and then ellos, ustedes is the equivalent of they, and ustedes is you, plural, formal. It's the formal version of usted, was plural version. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. Just think of it as they for this instance. So an. So these are the endings we add for any AR verb. As you can see, we've got an A here. AR, the way to remember it, this just needs to be memorized. To help you memorize it, the A runs through it. Okay? So as, almost as. The good thing is that for the I person, it always ends in O in present tense, no matter what the ending. So let's look at ER. ER, we have the E. So the E is going to run through it. So it's a similar sort of idea. Es, hemos, en. But instead of a, we've got e, which is going to run through it. So that's an easy way to remember that one. Okay, and then the IR, we think, oh, the I is going to run through it. And it does, but only in the we and the you plural. So nosotros son vosotros for. Let me show you. Once again, if it's you talking about yourself, you literally just add O. Or it's the same with every single verb. This one, it's the same as ER. Okay, that makes it easy. We just need to memorize ER. But wait, here the I runs through as we'd expect it. So if you're talking about nosotros or vosotros, so we or you plural, imos, is, we need to make sure it's an I. Otherwise, IR endings are exactly the same as the ER, which makes life simpler when we're trying to memorize. Okay, so let's try and put this into context so you can see how it works with a verb. And actually, just to point out to help with memorization, you can see that the you, the tu, usually ends in an S in the present tense. So if you see something with as, s at the end, it's talking about you. Obviously, I, as said, would be o. If it's he, she, it's usually just one letter. And then we is something with mos, so either amos, hemos, or imos, depending on the ending. Vosotros is usually, well, it's I's, A's, por is, and they is always with an N, so N or an, okay? Just a little way to help you remember. Let's put it to context. Let's think of a regular AR verb that we could use. Hablar. Perfect. Let's look at hablar. Hablar means to speak. A nice easy one would be hablo español. So how do we create hablo español? Where did that come from when we've got hablar with an AR at the end? We conjugated it. So as we looked at before, these are our endings for AR, remember? Okay, so all we need to do now is we need to take our stems. Let's say we've opened the dictionary, we've just found the verb to speak, hablar. We're going to take off the ending. So when AR is the ending, we're going to remove it. So the ending is in pink and the stem is in green. We're left with the stem, which is habl. We now must add the correct ending depending on the person to our stem to conjugate it correctly. So here we want to talk about ourself, right? So we need to add o onto the stem. So we get hablo. Okay? So that means I speak. This literally means I speak. You can say yo hablo if you want to add emphasis, but this you can just miss off because we know it's talking about you, because if we're talking about, ourselves, if we were talking about somebody else or you, for example, we would use hablas. Okay? So that's nice and clear. So how do we form hablas? So you speak. So if I wanted to ask you a question, ¿hablas español? Do you speak Spanish? What I did is I just crossed off my ending again. I was left with the stem. I added the ending for the you, as, hablas. So what would he or she speak Spanish be? Once again, we need to conjugate. So we take hablar, we cross off our ending, AR. We're left with our stem, ab, and we add our new ending for the he, she, a. So habla español. So we could say Juan habla español. Juan speaks Spanish. Perfect. What about we speak Spanish? So once again, we take hablar, the infinitive. We cross off our ending, AR. We're left with the stem, habl. We add our new ending, amos. So it becomes hablamos. Hablamos español. We speak Spanish. Okay, so this one, vosotros becomes, obviously, habláis. And then the they form becomes hablan, because we're doing the same thing. We're crossing off our AR and we're adding the ending. Nice and simple. So how would we say my friends speak Spanish? No, sorry, my friends speak English. So my friends would be mis amigos. So we know mis amigos, it's plural, it's my friends. So we cannot use he or she because that's just one person, it's singular. We have to use this form, the they, because it's my friends, they. So we'd say mis amigos hablan inglés. Easy, okay? You just use the conjugation for the they form, which is habla. So what if we wanted to say, my brother and I speak with our grandma every day? A little bit more challenging because we've got a lot of vocab here. But let me help you with the vocab. So my brother and I, so it'd be mi hermano y yo. Okay, we know yo here with I. So mi hermano y yo, something con nuestra abuela, because it's our grandma, cada día. So don't worry too much about that. How would we say my brother and I speak? And that's what we want to conjugate. So mi hermano y yo. We need to think of what subject pronoun is it? It's we, isn't it? 'Cause it's my brother and I, we speak. So we need to look at we. So nosotros. Amos. So we cross off our ending and we add. So it would be mi hermano y yo hablamos con nuestra abuela cada día. The main thing to remember is this bit, the conjugation of hablar. So that's it. That's any regular AR verb. Obviously, we have irregulars, which we'll look at in another video. For the regular AR verbs, that is how we conjugate the present tense. What about the ER verbs though? Let's have a quick run through. So ER, we remember our endings. It was this similar idea, but with an E running through it rather than an A. A nice regular ER verb is beber. Beber means to drink. So, using the same rule that we used for the AR verbs, what do we think I drink would be? So we've got our ending in purple this time. We've got our stem in green as before. So we need to cross off our ending. And then we need to add on the endings here, depending on the person. So I drink would become bebo. You drink would become bebes. Bebe, bebemos, bebes, beben. Okay, so does that make sense? We're basically just crossing off this ending, the same as do they are, and we're adding these endings onto the stem, which is beb. So if the teacher was going to say to the class, do you all drink water? How would she say that? Firstly, we have to work out which of these we need to be dealing with. Because the teacher's talking to the class, she's talking to you all, so you plural. We're going to look at vosotros, vosotras here. So we know the ending is A's, okay? We add it on, we cross off our ending, we add it, and we get bebés, okay? So bebés, agua. Simply, do you all drink water? Next one, my parents drink tea in the morning. Okay, so my parents is mis padres. Okay, so we want to say drink tea. So we want to say beber, which is obviously beber is to drink. And it's my parents, so it's plural, it's they, yeah? So we know the ending is en, so we get beben. So mis padres beben té por la mañana. Okay, por la mañana is in the morning. So mis padres beben té por la mañana. Perfect. So the next one we're going to have a look at is ir. So this is the last one. We had AR, ER, and IR. Okay, so with IR verbs, similar thing. We need to add our endings. So remember our endings? The same as the ER, the ones in purple, apart from EMOS and EAS, which you need to know and memorize, that is with, that follows the rule, becomes the I here runs through it. Okay, but the rest of them are the same as the ER. So if you learn that one, you've learned IR as well. So let's have a look at a verb which is really commonly used, regular, and it's IR. Vivir. So vivir means to live. Okay, vivir is to live. So vivo, I live. All we've done is we've crossed off our ending as before, and we're adding these new endings on depending on the person. So I live becomes vivo. You live, vives. He or she, you formal, vive. We live, though, don't forget, it's not vivemos, it's vivimos, okay? You need to remember because it's an IR verb, we must make sure the endings for nosotros and vosotros follow the IR. It's not the same as the ER here. Vivis, and then this one is the same, viven, okay? So these are your endings, you've now conjugated them. Perfect, nice and simple. So if you wanted to ask someone, where do you live? Okay, so we know donde is where, and we want to say you live. So we know you is the tu form here. We know the ending is es. So we cross off our IR, the form we find in the dictionary, and we'd add RES. So it becomes vives. So it becomes donde vives, which I'm sure is an expression that you've probably heard of, but not known where it's come from. It's come from here, from the present tense. So my grandparents live in France. So mis abuelos is my grandparents. We know once again it's the same as some of the other examples we had, but it's they, because it's plural. So mis abuelos en Francia. So how do we say they live? Which one do you think? Viven, yes. So mis abuelos viven en Francia are using this ending, putting it onto the stem once we've crossed off our ending, vive, en. So it becomes mis abuelos viven en Francia. Yeah? And that's it. You've now been able to master all of the endings for the present tense. So hopefully that helps.